Ready and I'm ready.
Well, we're ready now.
Hi.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Climax After Dark. I am so excited because I get to start the new year off with
Yeah.
my sister, Abby. Abby, good
Thank you
evening.
so
Thank you
much. Good
so much for joining me.
evening. Evening. I'm the first guest this year, so it's an
hmm
honor. Happy New
Happy
Year.
Happy New Year to you. Welcome to 2024.
Yes. 2024. Oh my goodness. You're happy to ring into the new year. Like, oh my God, I'm actually a year older this year.
It's a year older. It's a year blessed. Um,
It is a blessing.
Abby is founder and CEO of Flawless Aesthetics
Aesthetic Center.
Center, two locations, doing big things here in the US and also in Nigeria. We were
Yeah.
just talking about the many responsibilities and hats that you wear amongst
Yes.
being forward facing in beauty and the care of melanated black and brown skin.
Mm-hmm.
You are also mom of four with two
Four.
new
One, two, three,
additions.
four. Yes, two babies. Yes. Went from two
Recent-
kids to four. Boom.
Mhm.
Doubled.
How do you do it all?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I tell people I don't even think. I honestly don't think. I stop thinking. I just go with like what is next? What is next? What is next? I have an idea of how my day is gonna go and I just go. I just don't even think about it. I do not. I just go. You
Moving
just
with the
go.
flow.
You just move and just do what you have to do. At the end of the day, it has to get done, you know?
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
to do what you have to do. So I'm like, for women, it's a lot. We wear a lot of hats. And
yeah,
we don't give ourselves enough credit, but we do a lot.
yeah.
We do a lot.
You know,
Besides
we're
just the physical work, the mental. And as a mom, you're thinking about your kids, their welfare, what you think about yourself, trying not to lose yourself in
mhm,
the process. So it's a lot.
mhm. We are oftentimes the bedrock of our families, our communities.
Yeah.
Um, you're the bedrock of your practice. Tell us more
hmm
about your practice and how how long you all have been in practice here in the U.S. and also Nigeria, and how you just started.
So, well, for Flood Study Center, it started really as me trying to find solution for my own skin problem and just seeing that, the older you get, you start kind of feeling a certain way. You're more self-conscious about your
hmm
looks. And I did grow up with, which funny enough, a lot of acne. And I remember as a kid, I don't know if you remember back then at home, they would tell you to take toothpaste
hmm
and put on the acne,
hmm hmm
or take honey on your face and steam it
hmm
in
hmm
warm in hot water and whatever. And so that's how it started. But it just knows, but those things don't really cure. And but I just noticed that college and after college, it started like I felt like okay, I don't like the way my skin looks. I'm not comfortable with myself, and that was really what started the business. And but my main focus is Nigeria, and I'll tell you why. That's because at first I noticed that a lot of women in Nigeria did not really tell anybody anything. So
hmm
when you would ask, "Oh, so what did you do, to your skin?" They would tell you, "Oh, I'm using some black soap, I'm using some this," and
hmm
they just will not tell you anything. So I just figured, you know what? Why all of this? Let's just get started here and let's just it's important for women to feel really confident about themselves, but also I always say we are one, right? And you
hmm
have to be able to encourage your fellow sister and help her feel beautiful and confident. So, as a woman, what makes me a woman is seeing another woman beautiful,
hmm
making her feel confident. So, that was really how all this started. And I honestly did not really think this far of what it was going to become now. It was just what needed to be solved then and then. And as the business started growing and evolving, you realize that there's so many hats, and there are so many buckets and so many demands of
Yeah,
women that it goes just beyond the face. And
yeah,
now from of course the chemical peels to the injectables, the Botox, the fillers, and then it goes beyond just okay that, and then you're like okay, you look pretty, you're beautiful. What else? Like what's but you just said there's still something missing.
yeah,
There's still that thing missing,
yeah.
and so that's really the whole birth of um, other aesthetic things we do at the practice, which of course the IV therapies, the sexual health and awareness, which is a big thing, which I guess what
Mhm.
we're talking about today,
Mhm.
and just so much more. And there's so much more to come. And again, it's just being able to the to me the whole basis of this really is the fact that I'm able to know that I have changed the lives of people, especially women and
Yeah.
even men are actually beginning to really embrace the aesthetic industry now. But really for a woman, because I'm a woman, I cannot speak for a guy, I cannot speak for
Mhm.
myself. And other women, because we do experience the same thing, believe it or not, whether you're in Nigeria or Africa, I mean, or the US or in Asia or wherever, we have the same problems, we face the same insecurities. And so just being able to really do that and really see how this transform lives really is really the reason why we are here. I always say, what is your why? My why
Mhm.
is to be able to have every woman, if possible, feel and look her best every single day. You
Mhm.
have a lot going on in your life. Like I just have babies now, and some mornings I wake up, I don't even know myself. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh my God, is this me? But I still have to be able to have that thing to know that at the end of the day, I can still do my self care and I can still do this and I can bounce back, I can get
Mhm.
my body back, I can get my
Mhm.
whatever back. So just know that you have options. You don't feel as bad. So that's really the reason why, we're here.
Embracing that confidence, the next frontier in aesthetic medicine, I like to refer to it as aesthetic medicine because that's truly what it is.
It is,
You're
yes.
dealing with the exterior, but the next frontier is actually, like you alluded to, is dealing with the interior. So,
Hmm.
wellness, IV therapy, not only looking good, but actually feeling good.
Feeling good.
And
Yeah.
sexual medicine and sexual wellness is right in that line on that next frontier. I
Yes.
am really interested to understand how you all in Nigeria in your practice are embracing that, because there's that stigma.
Hmm.
First of all, there's that stigma around aesthetic and aesthetic medicine, right? Just like you said,
Yes.
many women say, "Oh, I use black soap." Well, that's good, but you did more.
Yes.
Okay. So there is that stigma around sex and well-being.
Hmm.
People have sex, obviously. You got children, so there's not, that's what you did to get them. And most people want to enjoy and have enjoyed it. How are you all in your practice embracing sexual wellness?
Well, at the beginning, when we first introduced it, it was like a hush hush situation. I, for one, never shied away from it, but then you have clients that come in, and then when you bring it up, they're like, taken
Hmm.
back, like, what is this? Why are they even talking about this? And some would even tell you, no, I'm fine. And you're like, look, I know you're not fine
Hmm.
because we noticed that even after, you can tell when a woman internally is suffering.
Yeah.
It's easy to tell. And everything else is fixed, but you still see that there's this emptiness. And
Hmm.
it all started from just being able to really speak to them and convince them and be like, this is very personal. It's nothing, we're not going to share your information with anybody. Of course, even if your spouse should call and you don't want us to tell them, we would not. So just being able to really build that trust and
Hmm.
um, knowing that we can give them that confidence is really how we started. It wasn't easy at first. Like I said, it was really hard to convince these women to do that. So you had those who were shy, you had those who were very skeptical. Oh my God, is this going to destroy my vagina? Is this going to do anything harmful to me?
Hmm.
Because in the north, where we are located, a lot of people, there's this thing they call kaya mata. It's something the northerners use usually for brides, and it's supposed to help with the vagina, make it tighter, make it more lubricated. But these are things that work, but then it's like for how long, right? It's
Hmm.
not long term, and it's not even hygienic inserting things into your vagina every time. That's just not hygienic. So I did get those things to look at them, and I'm like, for how long do you want to keep, like I had to kind of check it out, like what is this, because it was
Hmm.
a big thing. So I realized if this is selling and it's so big, then clearly a lot of women are dealing with issues.
Yeah.
And the main thing they're looking for is to tighten up, and why? It's not only just for themselves, but they believe, oh, my spouse is stepping out on me, or he's marrying multiple wives because I don't feel good about myself anymore, or I've had babies and
Mm-hmm.
my vagina has stretched, or I've done this. So there were so many reasons that, you just kept hearing as to why, when they opened up and they really opened up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, this is a
Mm-hmm.
little bit even too much.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really how the whole thing evolved, and it kind of really started. And now women are not even shy about it anymore. Most of our
Mm-hmm.
patients are not shy about it. They are very open. And I'm happy that in our culture now, women are beginning to really embrace their sexuality. Before,
Mm-hmm.
we were just taught to say, hey, get married, have sex, have babies, and that's it. You don't even
Mm-hmm.
enjoy your sex. It's
Mm-hmm.
just please the guy. It's really for babies.
Mm-hmm.
So there
Mm-hmm.
was really nothing. And so you saw marriages broken, you saw relationships broken, you saw a lot of things happening. And these women kind of started blaming themselves. But right now, looking at then and looking now, it's actually really good to see that women are getting very empowered. You're owning yourself, right? You're realizing that, hey, you have a voice, but also you have the right to choose how you want to feel.
Yeah.
You have the right to choose, and if you are not pleased sexually, then you have solutions to help me. If there's something medically wrong, you can fix it, and if it's not, then you can actually have conversations. This women were not even talking to their partners, because it's a hush hush, no talk, no zone, no nothing. Don't even talk about it, don't even bring it up, do not discuss it, because if not, you'll be
Mm-hmm.
labeled as promiscuous.
Across
So
the board, even within
border.
relationship, you don't talk
If
about
even in your marriage, you'll be labeled promiscuous. It's like, so what are you looking at? What is that for? Do you want to go
it.
step out? Do you have,
Mm-hmm.
it was like you couldn't even talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's changing. It's changed a lot, actually.
So let me take you back. Kayamata,
Hmm.
exactly what is it and how is it? And it's something that's more traditional.
It is very
Exactly what
traditional.
is it and how is it used?
So kayamata is something that originates from the northern
Mm-hmm.
part of Nigeria, and it's used a lot by northern women. So it's usually given to brides, and these are things that are done before the wedding in some cultures. Maiduguri, people in Maiduguri and Sokoto are really big on that,
Mm-hmm.
and it has many components. So there are things you put in milk, like a powder you put in milk, you can drink it, and they also have this little pot. It's like a little charcoal pot. You put some charcoal, you can sit down on it and cover
Okay.
yourself. It's supposed to steam and tighten up your
Okay.
vagina. There are
Mm-hmm.
things they give you to also insert that's supposed to
Mm-hmm.
help lubricate your vagina. So there's so many things. So the kayamata is one word, but there are so many things that comes to it. Some of them, they have this chicken they make with special herbs
Mm-hmm.
that you eat the chicken, and it's supposed to help. They have the dates as well that they
Mm-hmm.
give you as well. So there's so many things that they call the kayamata, but it's a lot of things. The whole idea is using it to kind of help with vaginal rejuvenation. That is
Mm-hmm.
just the whole thing, to
Mm-hmm.
get your vagina ready for wedding. So on
Mm-hmm.
your wedding night, your husband is pleased and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's all a northern thing, which some people still use. A lot of northerners still use. It's part of their culture and tradition.
Mm-hmm.
But my things, I'm not taking away from that. It's just that, I'm like, that is not it's not sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in terms of hygiene, how long do you want to keep inserting things?
Yeah.
The milk you drink, it's like a powder you put in you make it with milk, with powder, you mix it with milk and you drink it. It's supposed to help get you in the mood, also help lubricate
Mm-hmm.
things. So there's so many things. There's this thing that is like honey.
Mm-hmm.
um they drink it as well, so or you insert it. So there's so much that they do, which I'm like, my goodness, how many of these things can you possibly do? And they swear it works. I'm sure it does work, because it's not just now, it's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
But just as technology has come into place and new innovations, we see that we can actually achieve the same or even better result, and in a more safe way, right, in the medical
Yeah.
line versus all those other things
And
that
so
we
it's
use now.
it's cultural, and that's I think the interesting part to hear, that their baseline is already a cultural precedence set
Mm-hmm. Yes.
for sexual wellness and
Yes.
sexual medicine, even if
Yes.
it's not deemed that, and even if it's more so you're doing it for your male partner as opposed to you, but taking back that power,
Mm-hmm.
and
I
embracing
love
that
that word.
like sense of self agency and, um, having other um, procedures or systems,
Mm-hmm.
like that, where you're doing, you're dealing with more than one area. I think that's like the barrier that needs to continue to be broken. And I'm actually impressed to hear what you're saying about, um, it's easier to have these discussions in the north of
Right.
Nigeria, where there are very conservative
Mm-hmm.
communities, and here I am in Virginia Beach, um, uh, in a conservative community. But the conversation here, sometimes I'm just like, where are we, where I
Yeah.
can't really move the needle forward?
Oh
When we're
wow.
talking about sexual medicine, it's so challenging here, and there's more than just, like you're saying, there's more than just I always say to patients, to have a good orgasm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a man or you're a woman, okay, you need three things. You
Yeah.
need to address, one, the anatomy. So for women,
Mm-hmm.
that's vaginal rejuvenation,
Yes.
that's clitoral sensitivity,
Mm-hmm.
that's lubrication, that's
Yes.
your tissue. You need to address your hormonal state.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So depending where you are, premenopausal or postmenopausal,
Menopausal.
that
Mm-hmm.
might be adding some testosterone or
Oh
adding
yes.
estrogen back.
Mm-hmm.
That might be using some, here in the US, we have some pharmaceuticals that help with hyposexual disorder, that help to increase your dopamine, right? Um, so these are two things that can be addressed in an office with a provider. But then
Yes.
you also, the third is like your overall well-being, and that's your sense of self. That
Yes.
is your, how much you sleep, how much you,
I'm going to
which
move around for a minute, but I'm here with you.
oh, no
I'm
problem,
just yeah.
no
Okay.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
How much water you're getting, that's all of these things.
Yes.
And but it's still a challenging conversation here to have, in the US. But I think having these conversations around the world, maybe that's one of the things that helps us to break the barrier, not just having it in what we consider a progressive or country or liberal country, having it in places where historically, culturally, there are aspects in that society that deal with sexual medicine.
Correct. And again, it's something that a lot of, like I said earlier, this is just not an issue that is um, restricted just to one part of the world, right?
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
all women experience the same thing.
Yeah.
And like you did say, there are three elements as to what gives you an orgasm, a good orgasm. And in my opinion, I would say the third, because your mindset, your mental
Hmm.
well being, being able to have that connection with your partner is
Hmm.
key. And if you don't feel confident in yourself, right? You don't feel like you can perform, or you blame yourself, or a lot of women don't have orgasms, and that's just the truth. And most
Hmm.
times they think it's their they think it's them,
Hmm.
which maybe
Hmm.
it's not
Hmm.
really, you know.
Hmm.
And so all those things really starts to affect you mentally, and especially women as moms. After you have kids, your life is
Yeah.
you're busy, your mind is
Yeah.
everywhere. So
Yeah.
what time do you really have to calm down and relax and get yourself in the mood? And then if you don't have a supportive partner who can really understand and communicate, then that just takes it off the table completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like when we're speaking to women, really, before we even go into the medical, maybe if this is even a medical issue, I would say 70% of the time it's all a mental issue.
Yeah. I
I don't know
agree.
what you guys see
I
on your
agree.
end, but it's very mental. And then that just leads you to say, okay, if this is mental, then we need to start changing the mindset of
Yeah.
women. A lot of women are, you do it, it's more like a chore. It's more like just to please your partner, but we need to change that narrative. You, as a woman, you really have to take your power back.
Hmm. Hmm.
Something you want to enjoy. You don't need to feel guilty. You don't need to feel bad. You don't need to feel like, oh, I'm promiscuous. No, you know, it doesn't make you a bad person. God gave this to us as gifts.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
have to, I always say you live your life to the fullest. But unfortunately, a lot of women just think this is just two things: to please my spouse, whether I'm married or relationship, whatever, and to bear children, and that's it. Other than that, But then one thing you start seeing in Nigeria, this is of course shaking the table a little bit, is that I started wondering why all those women who are you start seeing them become more confident in themselves, and then you notice they have like little boyfriends on the sides and stuff, and you're like, okay. All
You know
right.
what? To each his own. Well,
To
because
each
okay,
his own.
let's talk about that, right? Okay, you're embracing your confidence now, and I want to in a second ask you exactly what procedures y'all are doing for rejuvenation because we know there's a lot of options out there. But
Mm-hmm.
you're embracing your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You have had some procedure done. Sex is better, but the
Mm-hmm.
relationship still isn't. And
Mm.
now you start to realize it is not just me.
It's not
I
you.
am not the bearer of the
No,
party
you're
that's
not.
responsible for sex being good. It's a shared responsibility.
Yeah,
And then what
100%.
happens? You start to say, "Hey, let me look for somewhere or something or
Mm-hmm.
someone that's going to appreciate what I'm bringing to the table." So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I totally see that happening.
100%, because for years women have been trained. You've been trained, first and
Mhm.
foremost, if you remember as a girl, even back then in our age, now in our time, you said, oh, you have to cook so that when you get married, you can cook in your husband's house.
Yep.
You have to
Yep.
learn to do this so that when you get
Yep.
married, you can do this.
Yep.
Nobody's saying do this for you,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep. No,
I
you're
teach my
right.
daughters,
You're right.
you got to do this for you. I don't even bring marriage in the front to
Yeah.
my daughters. You
Yeah.
might get married when you get married, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I want you to get married when after you become your own person.
Yeah.
Know you. Be happy
Yeah.
with who you are. Be your own woman.
Yeah.
And then you can be somebody else's wife,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, that's it. That truly is it right there.
So
You
you
know?
have to know yourself. You have to be
Mhm.
able to fix yourself. And
Mhm.
then so that when you support, then nobody can bamboozle you. Nobody can come
Mhm.
and make you feel like you're nothing, or make you feel like, you know, the culture is so rigid, and I'm sorry, I love being Nigerian. I'm Nigerian all day, all night, but it's so fit for the men,
Yeah.
whereby it's a man's world and you have to please the man and you have to do this. Yes, as wife, you have duties. I'm not taking my culture away, keeping your home clean,
Yeah.
cooking and doing
Yeah.
stuff. Everybody has their share of responsibilities. But then this is where I feel a lot of women get tortured when the man will say, "Oh, even if I watch African movies, I laugh all day when I watch it. You know, it's always the woman's fault.
Yeah.
It's always the woman's fault. Meanwhile, the guys are out there messing around. They come
Yeah.
home, they're empty,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they want to blame you for nothing. Like,
Yeah.
okay. And so the women start to feel this way, and then finally they realize, "Oops, I'm not a problem. I'm
Yeah.
good. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with me." And
Yeah.
then that's how it starts.
So then could you postulate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Embracing yourself, embracing your confidence through understanding your body, understanding and having these procedures. Let's extrapolate that out. At some point, does that kind of help to change the narrative on the dynamics of how women and men interact in Nigeria? Like, does that help to push? Does the sexual revolution help to make it so that more women have the confidence to be in power?
100%.
Yeah.
It is so big. It's unbelievable. Power is huge. Now, women are getting empowered through education,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we're allowed to go to school, we're getting our master's degree, we're just banging these degrees, and
Mm-hmm.
but then after a while, then what?
Yeah.
Your life still goes on, right? And so you see a lot of women, I feel like we do like at the practice, we do a lot of the temivas, which is the big
Mhm.
one for us.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, the the old shots as well is
Mhm.
huge. Those are the two main. The Temiba really is one of the most. I love it. It's just really powerful. It
Mhm.
does, and we see a lot of results from that. And we don't just use it just only to treat just sexual. There are a lot
Mhm.
of medical issues like the
Mhm.
incontinence. That's the medical
Mhm.
issue that we have to address with
Mhm.
that as well. But speaking about um, this whole big revolution now, I would say that when women give an example, they come in, they're skeptical, right? They they start their first treatments, and you start feeling that tightness. You start feeling
Mhm.
that from the first treatment, the second treatment, and they go. Funny enough, they go just experiment with their husbands, even say this isn't even working, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is working. I feel like a woman. I
Yeah.
feel like I don't have that thing feeling like there's something wrong with me
Yeah.
anymore." They just have this confidence, and it's like from nowhere, they start standing in their power. You can't tell them anything anymore. It's like, I have my job, I have my degree, I have my money, and I'm good. You cannot
Mhm.
say. So it's changing a lot of these women's mindset. A lot of their mindset. It is changing it, and
Mhm.
it's making them feel like, what? I don't feel. And I guess the reason why is because in our culture, again, the older you get, one, or after you've had kids, you are made to feel like you're old and useless.
Yeah. Yeah.
What makes a woman different, an older lady from a younger girl? The vagina, how it
Yeah.
works. How active are you in bed? That is it. That is the
Mhm.
truth. That is the main differentiating factor. So when these women have been made to feel like, you know, or my husband is going after younger girls out there. Oh, it's
Mhm.
because maybe these girls are better in bed, or they're this in bed, or they're that in bed. No, I disagree. Why? Because of course, like men, they want to taste different varieties of
Mhm.
shit, right? And so everything for them is exciting. It's like new excitement. And then you're the wife in the house. It's like you become like, okay, regular or just whatever. Come slam, don't go, come back.
Mhm. Mhm.
But then this woman are like, you know what? Nah, I don't need to feel this way anymore. Even if I have four, five, six kids, you know what? I can fix my shit.
So
There are solutions to this right now. So it's a lot of it's changing a lot of things, I would say.
it's the 80-20% rule. You said something a little earlier. So you said something about some men or some women being concerned about their husbands now moving forward and marrying more women
Hmm.
because of the lack of, enjoyment or whatever
Yeah.
during sex. Do you find the population that you're seeing that are coming in for vaginal rejuvenation, do you find that that's population is high, or it's more they're worried about their partners leaving the relationship altogether?
They're not worried. They're not worried about the partners leaving. They are worried about the partners having extramarital affairs
Okay.
and possibly remarrying the other person. That's really
Yeah.
not about leaving.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, now the women are the ones leaving right now. It's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny. When I see it, I laugh. It's funny. They're like, I can't put up with this anymore. I'm just gonna live my life. And so they are so empowered.
Yeah.
The world is changing.
And so the thermeva you all use is radio frequency.
Yes, it's radio
And then
frequency.
the O shot you all do, that's PRP therapy.
PRP,
Yeah.
yes, PRP
Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah.
I believe in keeping it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Because really for our market, anything too complicated is like, now we have some issues where we have to involve our um, doctors, our MD, and we have
Mm-hmm.
to go in, we do surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
But those are in not, it's not very often we have those
Mm-hmm.
cases.
Mm-hmm.
Usually with the Temiva and the OSHA, we're able to fix at least 80% of
Yeah.
our patients.
Yeah.
It's
I'm,
not that complicated.
I mean, PRP, first of all, platelet-rich plasma
That
for
is a power of
those
a
that are
treatment right there.
listening. First of all, that itself, from lubrication to just the change in
Hmm.
and collagen in your vaginal walls, increasing sensitivity alone, and then adding on top. I really feel like this is, this might be. I'm kind of gonna get geeky here, but I really feel like there's something about adding a little heat um, therapy, whether you're doing laser, whether you're doing radio
Hmm.
frequency, whatever, to PRP. There's something about adding that extra bit of energy that
Yeah.
just gives like that synergistic
It
effect.
takes it to the next
It
level.
takes it straight to the next
It
level,
does. And I always
Um,
tell people is what doing the like. I strongly believe in the combination therapy,
mhm,
and I always tell patients it is worth doing it. Trust me,
mhm,
it
mhm,
is so worth it. So just as you
mhm,
said, adding heat and
mhm,
then the PRP, it's
mhm,
magic.
mhm, mhm. It really is. And then on top of that, I'd be really excited for you all, just like the the system that we were talking about that's
Mm-hmm.
more cultural in North Nigeria,
Yeah.
where you have something that you're taking that's more
Taken. Yeah.
systematic, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
something like here in this country, a lot of people refer to the vaginal steaming as like yoni steaming. I don't know if you've heard of that,
Okay. I've heard
or
of it. It's,
yeah,
I saw a couple of videos in LA. You know, a lot of
yeah,
med
and
spas in
they're
LA have
like
that. Most spas
herbs,
don't med
or
spas.
you
Yeah.
can do
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want for the steam.
Yeah.
So treating the anatomy, but also treating something systematic, adding maybe some, if you're not going to do hormones, ashwagandha is
Mm-hmm.
something that really is
Okay.
great. There are oral supplements like DHEA, which is a hormone, but you can usually find it like in a supplement aisle.
Okay.
Um, Maca root. So, okay, these are natural things, but they together, individually and together, work to kind of help to elevate your androgen level.
Gotcha.
So now
Gotcha.
it feels better, but then you have that drive that makes you
Mm-hmm. Want to.
want to do. Yeah.
That makes
Um,
sense.
so it's everything together, right?
Yes.
And the message reaching more women that are older, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what? Also, the message reaching younger women
Younger.
too,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because like we're saying, our daughters, right? The expectation, so that when you get into a relationship, you're not bamboozled into thinking, oh,
Oh,
this
you're not.
this dude
Oh,
is
hell
it,
no, you're
or
not.
it's my
No.
fault. The expectation of what to have when you get into a relationship, when you're with somebody, and what level of pleasure you should be receiving as
Mm-hmm.
an individual. I think on the entire continent of Africa, in Nigeria, and in all parts of the world, really moves women to the next level.
Yes, it does. It really does. And it's so funny. I was while I had my babies early, and while I was going through that process, my youngest daughter, who is 7, she just loves Beyonce. I don't know
Hmm.
what it is. She says, "Mommy, you look like her. I love." I'm like, "Okay, fine,
Hmm.
whatever." But she wanted to go for a concert, and I'm
Hmm.
like, "How am I going to do this? How do I go from NICU to concert? Like, what is this?" Luckily, I had my mom with me, so she was able to watch the babies, and I felt the girls have been. It's a lot to see your babies in the NICU, and then your sisters have to see them,
Yeah,
because they think you have a baby, you come home,
yeah,
right? Not stay in the hospital. So
yeah.
I wanted to really do this for them. But my thing is, I never really paid attention to the lyrics of her songs. I'm not in any way promoting Beyonce's album, but I've never listened to an album that empowers women.
Hmm. Hmm.
That is
Hmm.
hands down empowering. And
Hmm.
it's all about what we're talking about, whether it's through
Hmm.
music or through vaginal rejuvenation or through more education. But it's time for us to really embrace our sexuality
Hmm.
and be
Hmm.
proud of who we are,
Hmm.
right? And you don't have to shy. You don't have to be shy about it. You don't have to feel like you're talking about something that is of a taboo, or just being able to really come to and really accept you for who you are and be okay with it.
Yeah.
Be okay with it and be able to and have that confidence to have really because one thing is that which now is happening, you get empowered and you have this boldness to have conversations with your partner,
Yeah.
which you didn't have before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can tell them what you want, how you want it. And most times, some partners are like, okay, but you have some who are still like, oh, are you doing this or are you doing that? It's not about all that. It's all about you understanding who you are now and knowing exactly what you want.
Yeah. How do you think that this will impact? I mean, this might be a tough question to answer, but because there's still parts of Nigeria where, unfortunately, mutilation is happening, female
Yes.
circumcision is happening. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, obviously, that is not a medical procedure for the woman, right? Okay. But how do you think this message starts to impact those communities? Um,
Um, Again, I always say with everything, it takes time.
mhm.
It takes time. Eventually, we will get there. So think about back then when women were not allowed to go to school, right? They
Yeah.
couldn't even go to school. And then instead of, okay, you can go to school, but you can only go to primary, I think 6, right?
Mhm.
And then, okay, you can go to secondary school, but you can go to this. You can go to secondary school now, finish it, but then you can go to university. So I feel with time, not the whole of Nigeria can be, because some people are so bent into the culture.
Mhm.
Even the women, and unfortunately, the women are the ones actually against themselves.
Mhm.
So they are so judgmental as to, oh,
Yeah.
why do you want to do this? And they honestly, they really are very judgmental. Not even the men in most cases. And so just being able to really take it one day at a time, one person at a time. And, it starts from one person doing it and telling their relation, telling their friends. And end of the day, not 100% of women will actually be on board or want to do this, but I would say a good number, maybe 60%. And if that is the case, then it's something,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
70%. But the female mutilation, I feel, is something that is really that needs to be eradicated.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why it's there. It's just a selfish way. It's so that women do not enjoy any sexual pleasures.
Yeah.
That is just the reason why.
Yeah.
Oh, your daughter cannot be promiscuous, so we're going to go ahead and clip it. Like, who does that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel that
Yeah.
is just not. It's just not human. I just want them to really stop that. Everybody has the right. It is your God-given right. So nobody should ever have that power to take it away from you. If God created you and
Yeah.
you were born with that,
Yeah.
then why would anybody feel or think they can take that away from you due
It's a
to their crazy, selfish cultures?
it's a totally inhumane
It's
procedure.
it's inhumane.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I don't know.
Well, and that leads to chronic complications of
In the future.
incontinence.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I just to me it still baffles me to like to your point that people are still actively engaging and voluntarily obviously not the young poor girl, but their families are voluntarily
Their
engaging
parents,
in
their
these
moms.
activities.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's crazy. And that's what I'm saying. It's something that some of the women themselves are the ones doing themselves. It's not even the men. So let us address
Hmm.
ourselves.
Hmm.
They do not, I'm like, everything starts with education.
Yeah.
Take that step, educate yourself, read
Yeah.
about this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't put your children through things that tomorrow you cannot undo or tomorrow will be a big regret.
Yeah.
We're so stuck in those archaic base. Some cultures, some things make sense in our culture. I'm not bashing the culture by
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
chance, but some parts of the culture is just to the point where, like, really,
Yeah.
you know, like, I don't know if you remember, if you've heard about this back then, when you have a baby and the baby is not eating and they start force feeding, force feeding.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're killing the child.
Yeah.
But then the baby, it's like everything it's like educate yourself and
Yeah.
figure out what is right and what is wrong. But for me, the female genital mutilation is just something I'm like, no, I can't even still believe that this still happens in this
Yeah.
day and age.
Well, I do know a woman who has a podcast on herself.
Okay.
She is of Muslim faith, and her podcast, talks about sex. That's the whole purpose of the podcast. And I think, just like we're here today talking, being advocates of having agency over your own body
Hmm.
and really bringing that not only into our immediate surrounding or our practices here in the US, but our culture where we come from, that and where our families come from. These are the ways that we really help women start to embrace not only who they are sexually,
Yes.
but who they are as individuals and gain some of that power back. We have just a couple of minutes left, but in the next couple of minutes, what are some of your plans like when as you move forward in the practice with sexual medicine?
Well, just like everything else, when you start, and technology innovation is always something new, and so I'm always looking out for what is new, but not just new, what is meaningful and what is helpful, right? What really makes sense here. So we're just the main thing right now is being able to, which is a big one, and we've conquered it, but we're
Hmm.
still a lot of work to be done. Is even just getting the changing the mindset of women.
Hmm.
Period.
Hmm. Hmm.
It starts from there. And
Hmm.
so it's a continuous process. So we're still working on that because when we see patients, really, they come in for acne or wrinkles, whatever the case may be, that's really what they call come in for, really. And then when they
Hmm.
go to the questionnaire, we always ask that question. So, is this something you're interested in? And they'll ask you, what is this?
Mhm,
And then we
mhm,
start to
mhm.
educate them about it. Oh, really? Oh, wow, I didn't even know about this. Right? So it's taking it to that next level whereby we are making intentional effort and conscious
Yes.
effort to be able to get women to say, hey, there are options out there for this treatment.
Mhm, mhm,
You can do this, you can do that. And the good thing about it is that these are procedures that have really zero or no downtime.
mhm,
They have no, like for instance, the PRP, it's natural, right?
mhm, mhm.
It's from your own body, it's your own plasma. So that's they like, that it's nothing foreign. And the Temipa, you're not inserting it, you're just, except the probe, you're not putting anything else in there. It's just the probe that really hits up, the vaginal walls, and it
Mhm.
tightens it up. And we use it for both outside and inside part of the labia to kind of help not only just tighten, it
To
helps
give that
with
nice
urinary
lift.
incontinence. It
Mhm,
gives the lifts.
mhm,
It has to look good. Down there has to look good. You can't be
mhm.
looking good here and then down there looking a mess. No, it has to balance.
The curtains need to match the
It
rug.
has to match. It has to match. Everything has to match. You can't look good here and you're like, oh shit, what is happening there? No, no, no. Or you turn the lights off, or you're like, no, you can't. You know, it's all about embracing your sexuality and just, teaching women the fact that, there's nothing wrong, and educating our daughters too. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong in embracing your sexuality. There's nothing wrong in you feeling sexy, because when you feel sexy, you're a sexy, a sexy lady. You look good, you feel good, you're confident, you can conquer anything. So really, that for me is the next step. I do care about that. If I'm happy that we have resources and we have things to use to treat, but if you're treating somebody and then their mindset is not changed, then
Mhm.
the work is not complete. So we have to be able to balance both. So hopefully we can maybe roll out. I do, like, little sessions here and there. Probably roll out bigger sessions, really, to really bring women together and talk about this more. So there's so many things we haven't planned. Well, taking it step one step at a time. I have babies at home now, so I'm like,
Mhm.
whoosh, you know. So hey, you got to do what you got to do, get back to business and keep it rolling. So really, this year, hopefully, my plan is that by the end of this year, I should even have a bigger base of women that really embraced this. And if there's anything out there, we always go to the medical shows, kind of see what's
Mhm.
out there, what's
Mhm.
new, what works, and introduce probably more more innovative equipment in there that would also help enhance this. But right now, I feel as though we're getting really good results. It's just a matter of really spreading the word more and just helping women know that, you know what, you're beautiful and you can be beautiful. You have that power. It lies in your hands.
Yes.
You have that power. Nobody else has that. So that is
Yeah.
something you have and you need to keep, not to give it away or not feel like, oh, my world is over, because it's not.
Yeah.
60 is a new 30 now.
Yeah.
And
You're
I'm
right.
just so
You're right.
happy
We're
to
living
see a lot
longer.
of women back then when we saw people who were 40 or 50, they're like, ah, they're so old.
Tell somebody that now, right? Because we're
No.
living longer, and we should live
Yeah.
our lives in a way that we're
Live your
pleased.
best life.
Yeah.
Yes. End of the day, you
If
only have
you
one
are,
life. Just
you
one.
only have one life,
Just one
so
life.
all those years, each year
Gotta live it
counts.
up.
We have
Does
your
count.
website down, scrolling at the bottom, Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and then also email. Um,
Yes.
if you are in Lagos, if you are in Abuja, if you are in
Mm-hmm.
any part of Nigeria,
Just come
go
here.
to Flawless Aesthetic
Aesthetic
Center.
center. Yes,
Um,
we'll take good care of you.
yeah, located in Abuja, Nigeria. Listen, Abby, it was so great to have you here. If there's anything I can do on my end from this side of the water,
Yeah, I'll
you know,
connect with
my
you.
husband came
Thank you,
and
guys.
visited
Your
your
husband came to
location.
the practice. It
Yeah.
was so nice. And my
Hmm.
dad was so nice of
Yeah.
him. And he was in Nigeria. It was like a last minute, like, can you dash down? Because with the men to need this. So we kind of
Yeah.
have him talk about it for the men. I think he's come on twice with us. I think one was Instagram, and he was at the
Hmm.
practice as well.
Hmm.
So he
Yeah.
was being so helpful and just being able to talk about it and shed more light about that. So
Yeah.
we're really embracing the whole sexual thing as a whole, not just only women, but
Yeah.
also men,
Also,
because you
men.
can't treat one. It takes two, right? So you can't just treat one
Yeah.
and leave the other, and leave the other.
Yeah.
So just bringing this awareness and talking more about it, and just having people know that, hey, you know what, you really can. get your life back. That's what I call
Yeah.
it. Get your life
Yeah.
back.
And to your point, because this is what happens. Men, they age and they
Mm,
forget. Just because you can continue to impregnate a woman as you get older does not mean that it is not common to have dysfunction in erection.
it's
Does not
common.
mean that
It's
it's
yeah.
not common to have a lower libido. And so being treated is
Mm-hmm.
necessary. And again,
Yeah.
we talk about that postmenopausal age and where women are have more vaginal dryness, and you may think it's you, but if he is not erect, if it is not hard, it is not going to stay inside your vagina. Has nothing to do
Women's
with how lubricated or how dry you are.
nothing exactly. So
Yeah,
women now, I think the bar is high. Women
yeah,
have set the bar really high.
yeah,
There's some things they just would not accept. No more 1 minute man, no more. They have all these terms, no more this, no more that.
yeah.
Um,
No more.
one of Beyonce's song, the lyrics cracked me up so bad. And I was listening to a review because the before of this podcast today, so I was just listening to multiple things, and
Mhm.
um, this girl gave a review on one of her songs, and she's like, "If he's not having me curse the stars, then it's not good enough." And I'm like, "Oh shit!"
So y'all
I'm
are
like,
doing
"You go,
virtual
girl."
therapy, P shots, right? For
Mm-hmm. We do
men.
the
Yeah,
P shots.
yeah.
Yes, yes. So
And
it takes two to tango.
yeah, yeah. I'm
So
I'm
it's
um I'm really
yeah.
glad to have you on tonight. Thank you so much. And
Thank you for
also
having me.
on a personal side, thank you for being a force in an environment where I get it, because here it's not always so kind with talking about things that people may consider to be taboo. But thank you for
Yeah,
being a force, and I encourage you, continue to do it. Continue to be that force,
yeah.
because as we discussed here, um, it's needed. It's
It is
completely needed.
needed. As women, I always feel you want to be able to really empower ourselves and just encourage ourselves and, just talk about things that really could be affecting us because really, like I say, we all deal with the same
Hmm.
damn issues as women.
Hmm.
So when I see
Hmm.
women competing, I'm like, you're not competing. You don't compete with anybody. You have to pull ourselves together and just, make the world a better place.
Hmm. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Abby, thank you so much for being with
Thank you
us
so
tonight.
much for having me. It's
If
been
you,
an
if
hour
yeah,
already. Oh my, over almost an hour.
girl,
I
I know
didn't
you gotta get
realize
to
that.
your babies. If you
I
agree, I'd
got
love to
babies
have
to
you
go
back
to.
I'd like to have you back in the future if you agree.
I would love to come back
Okay.
and just we'll get together and I will call you again and you're such an amazing doctor. Love your practice. I
Oh,
haven't been
thank
there.
you.
Cannot wait to visit. My first conversation with you was like I was like, wow, it's just nice to have a sister who I feel like, I met you at we met at AMSPA, right? That was
Hmm.
last
Hmm.
year. Oh my God, time
Hmm.
flies. And just we just kind of got along really well and just
Yeah.
you were so open and so kind and I really do appreciate that. You don't really get to find that a lot. But
Oh,
again, we're in this together, we'll figure this out and hopefully we can change make, people, work on people's mindsets one woman at a time and
one woman at a time.
eventually we'll talk about things we could possibly do together anyway. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited. And congratulations. I see you're on this podcast all the time, good job on that. I love it.
Thank
And
you.
we'll collaborate and do so many more things again in the future.
So you all watch out, because when two Nigerian women decide to do something, it's done
It's
and
going
it's done.
down.
It's
It's done
always
and
done
dusted.
and done big.
Done and dusted and done big. Exactly. Exactly.
Ah, thank you, Abby.
Thank you
I'll
so
talk to
much.
you later. Thank you
All
everyone
right.
for joining us. This is Climax After Dark.